once the beard gets to a certain length and then you trim it all the way down, you just feel like less of a man, you know?
Yeah. It does. It takes away a little bit.
It does.
Especially once you're completely clean shaven.
Oh, hard pass.
I haven't been clean shaven in 4 years. I can't do it no more.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard pass on that. That would not feel good.
Yeah. I've usually at least got the goatee.
Yeah. That's right. And Jesse, you've got a family of beards, right? Your dad, your brother, you got a whole bunch of you with beards going on.
We've all got beards. So my brother keeps his much more trimmed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my brother my brother and dad both rock them. They both keep theirs nice and tight and trimmed. And I like to let mine just grow wild.
Well, Dan, you guys are Vikings, right? So that's
yes.
Okay.
I'm a Viking. They're not. They're
okay.
They're a different breed.
Okay, got it. I just assumed you all carried battle axes to your family gatherings and stuff.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started with our second part of Game of the Year discussions here with Fathers of the Grind. And I'm here with two fathers, not my normal partner in crime. I'll talk about him in a second. He'll be here later, I hope. But I am here with two guys you all should recognize. Jesse White, good evening.
Good evening. Cheers.
Good to have you. Cheers, my friend. And Dan Phillips from Minnesota.
Close, but not quite.
North Dakota.
South Dakota.
South Dakota. And Jesse's from New England somewhere.
Connecticut.
Well, I'm from Maine, so I mean,
Vermont,
I'm Canada.
Oh, Maine.
New Hampshire.
We'll just call Canada.
Yeah. The best, let's be honest though, the best place to be in the fall, but otherwise not really a great place to be. But in the fall,
right now,
it might have the best autumn in the country, I would argue. Because I've been up there.
Foliage is fantastic.
Yeah. And then maybe where Dan has the best, I don't know, post-apocalyptic place to hide from everything. I don't know.
I think it's definitely going to be the last place standing when all the nukes go off. So
best setting for a Far Cry game. How about that?
Yeah, it would work.
Wasn't that pretty much what Far Cry 5 was in your backyard?
Yeah, close enough. Montana, it's not too far from us, not too different.
That was going to be my next guess if I didn't get your state correct. I always get it wrong. So I was going to go Montana, Idaho. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We've got a whole bunch of categories to go through. For those of you who have listened to us for a long time, you know that last year we essentially did a debate and a ranking for every category. And we had Kyle Neely and Rudy Regalado on here to help us with those. And although I enjoyed doing that, and I think it hopefully provided some listening entertainment for folks, this time we're doing it a little bit differently. And I want to give space to really debate the quote unquote important categories. And then the other ones, it's just, hey, here are some of my favorites. So that way we can still discuss, talk about games, make sure as much stuff is not left out as possible. But also, I don't feel the need to necessarily determine with you guys, okay, what was the best remaster of the year? We don't have to do that. We could just talk about some of our favorite remasters or re-releases if you have any. So, but when we get to stuff like Best Combat, when we get to multi-platform Game of the Year, those things we're going to have to kind of argue our way to that list. Now, last time that Dan was on here debating stuff with us, he turned against me. So I am trusting, Dan, that this time you won't let me down and you'll go along with whatever I think.
I got your back this time, Tim. I think I owe you one. So
I'm going to get teamed up on here.
You are indeed. So when you try to tell us that, I don't know, State of Decay 2 is the best game of the year, we're not going to listen to you. So that's what's going to happen.
Thankfully, that won't be a problem.
That won't happen. All right, so just to kind of get the gears moving a little bit and to get us thinking about games from this year, let's first jump into some of our favorite remasters and re-releases of 2018. And I'll get things kicked off with one that released early this year. So I think it's got to be at the top of my list, I think. I don't really have them ranked. I just have a few that I really loved. It's got to be Shadow of the Colossus for me. I love what Sony did with re-releasing what I already thought was a great game. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I've always had this in the top 10, 15 range of my favorite games. I love Shadow of the Colossus. I've always thought it was a fantastic and very artful and thoughtful game. And seeing it in full HD and just in all of its glory, it's so pretty now. I loved it. So playing through that game again was a lot of fun. So that was probably my favorite. There's a few others I liked, but that was the first one that I'll throw out there. And I don't know if you guys are fans of that or not, but I love it.
I couldn't really get into it, to be honest. I beat the first. So when it came out on the previous systems, I beat the first 2 or 3 bosses and then just never really revisited it.
What do you think it was? Was it the lack of kind of like enemies and real feeling of progression, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of slow, to be honest, and it just didn't hook me.
Now,
it is very slow.
It's kind of a different game, but I actually never got to experience until this year. But I didn't play the PS4 remaster. I actually played it on PS3. So,
oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, it was a little different. I already owned it. Figured I'd try to get through it, but I never had done it back in the day. I kind of liked what it was doing as far as this big empty world with these huge colossus you had to go find. For the most part, I thought it was pretty enjoyable. So I did get through it this year, but I didn't get around to the remaster.
Okay, but did you finish it? You got to the end?
Yeah, yep, I got to the end. I liked it. Each boss was kind of like a puzzle in itself, how you find where to damage them and how to damage them. So I kind of enjoyed it. The controls felt antiquated and took a bit to get used to, but overall I still really enjoyed the experience. Wanted to see what everybody was saying. Everybody always says it's such a good game, so I really had to try it for myself.
I will admit that in replaying it this year in 2018, after all the games we've played, especially the last few years, have just been amazing. I will admit that the controls were not up to par with a lot of these 3D action adventure games that you get. But I think it's because I've already played through this game start to finish twice in the past, so I knew what to expect. I've also played The Last Guardian. It feels very much like that same kind of floaty and then grab on and hold on mechanic. Same developer, obviously. So I guess it's because I knew what to expect. That's never bothered me, but I totally get when folks say, hey, no, it's too floaty, it's too weird, it doesn't feel precise. After playing the Souls games or The Witcher or whatever games that you like the way it controls, I just can't handle this one. So I get that, but for me it was still, or even like a Mario game. They're so precise and so exact. This is not that. This is much different than that. So that's a fair criticism. But what other re-releases or remasters come to mind for you guys from this year that you liked? Or were there any?
Mine's I got an easy one, Bayonetta 2.
Ooh, yeah.
Excellent.
Talk to me about Bayonetta 2. So this is on the Switch, of course.
Yeah, it could be the best game I've played this year.
That is saying something. So, like, if that were up for Game of the Year, you might give it to it.
Potentially, yes.
Dang.
Oh, wow.
But Bayonetta is one of my favorite franchises. I was heartbroken when that was exclusive to the Wii U because I wasn't going to buy a Wii U. So,
yeah.
I actually ended up getting the game on the Wii U, and I didn't get too far into it, like 2-3 chapters in. And I definitely saw the appeal of it. Just I guess I didn't just stick with it and get through it. But then again, I don't play my Wii U much either. So
yep.
You like those platinum games? Like
they're okay. It's generally not my cup of tea. It's something I'll jump in and I'll grind out for a little bit. But they're a real high skill level type action game, and it just gets a little too repetitive. Usually, it doesn't hold my interest as much. I like more the adventure type story driven games.
That's fair.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, the one that our community, the voting isn't done yet, so those of you who are listening, you can still go and vote. I think I'll leave that open right up to the very end of the month here, because we got a lot of votes coming in. But so far, when it comes to remasters and re-releases, Spyro: The Reignited Trilogy is winning. It's by far winning.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
And so I'm not sure, because I was never a big fan of the Spyro games. I liked the concept, but then when I actually played it, I didn't like the execution. So I've never really enjoyed those games, but it's fine if folks like them. I think it's cool the way they spun off isn't that what Skylanders is spun off from?
Yep.
It's Spyro? Okay.
Yep.
So I think that's cool. I got no problem with that franchise. It's just never been one that I liked. So I was a little surprised at the hype around this, especially compared to something like Crash. I know that got a lot of love. But anyway, that's the one that's getting the most votes from our community. But some of the other ones that are notable, I did see a couple votes for Bayonetta 2, Jesse, so you're not alone there. A handful for Shadow of the Colossus as well. Those are kind of neck and neck a little bit. Saw some Dark Souls love. Dark Souls Remastered, which was released. Yep.
Yeah, that would probably be my favorite remaster from this year. I thought they did an excellent job with that. They just desperately needed to get the frame rate.
And what'd you play it on?
I played it on the Xbox One X. And I played it on the PS4 as well. I guess I played it both systems. So and it's basically the same game on both of them. The frame rate's a steady 60 frames a second.
Okay.
Looks good, plays good. So yeah, definitely, my favorite remaster of the year. But as far as other re-releases, I'd have to also mention Diablo 3 on Switch.
Ooh, yeah.
Another reason to play Diablo 3. I mean, I'm down with it. I'm loving it. I like the fact that I can sit with it on the couch on the Switch and
dude, and you maxed out your character real fast.
Yep. Well, I've done it a few times before, different systems. So I know the ways that get you the most XP and gold. You just got to keep pushing it. The more people you can play with, definitely helps you raise your level. So I always set my network settings to open. So if somebody wants to join me and hop in, then we all, are the better for it. So,
so I wasn't really paying attention to any of my settings or anything. I had thought like, maybe at some point I'll play multiplayer, but I never truly played Diablo 3 more than a couple hours on the PS4 back when I bought it. And I played a multiplayer. It might have been with you, Jesse, and Moose, and a few others. I forget who was part of that group, and I liked it, but I never really got into it. And so this time I thought, you know what? This is a great kind of just go through swarms of enemies, loot lots of stuff, keep powering yourself up, but I don't have to be completely engaged with it. I could play it while there's a football game on or while I'm watching Survivor with their wife or whatever. So I'm doing just that. I'm playing it in handheld mode. We're watching Survivor, and all of a sudden I see another character jump into my game, and I didn't see the name yet. All I know was I was fighting a bunch of enemies, and then I see this giant laser beam come out and just sweep across the whole stage and just kill everything. And then I see Dan's username right there, and I was like, dang, Dan just jumped in here and killed everything for me. And then he just kept running through the level, just killing everything for me, and I'm just picking stuff up. And I did like maybe 2 or 3 hits every big battle, but he was just sweeping everything with his laser beam, and I'm leveling up like crazy. And I was like, I'm starting to see why people love Diablo 3. This is pretty easy.
Yeah, no, it gets fun, and the fact is there's so many difficulty settings with it that as your character gets better and better, you can keep bumping up the difficulty, so there's still a challenge.
Yeah.
The loot just keeps getting better. It's definitely probably one of the best loot systems in any game I've ever played.
And it runs fantastic.
They've mastered loot.
Yeah,
they did. And it runs fantastic on the Switch. It looks great, runs really great. Which is kind of a relief. Some of those games that get real busy with all the different enemies on their own screen, I get a little worried, will the Switch start chugging? And from my experience, and the screen has been loaded with enemies, even playing multiplayer, runs really smoothly.
Yep. And I've been real impressed with that because, even in multiplayer, you would expect you'd start getting some dips and dives there. And everything was just seamless. And that's what's so good about the multiplayer, too, is like we didn't have to get into the Nintendo app and chat or anything. We could just... I can follow along with you easy enough. It's easy to find you. We can get in, play together, but we don't have to be in a chat or whatever. You can be watching Survivor and still get some multiplayer gaming in. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Actually, one or two times my wife was like, why do you keep saying nice? And I was like, because I don't have to do any work. Getting all these benefits. And then when you finally left the game and dropped a bunch of stuff in my mailbox for me to use, part of me was like, well, do I keep playing now? Is it going to be fun anymore? I don't know. I know, Jesse, you played Diablo 3 a while back, but what about other re-releases from this year? Anything else come to mind for you? I know you mentioned Bayonetta 2. Is there anything else?
I'm not sure what else I've played, to be honest. I played Dark Souls Remastered. I was horrible at that game and quit it almost immediately.
By played it, Dan, he doesn't mean he beat it, okay?
No, those games are infuriating for me. I can only play those co-op. And then Bayonetta, and I think that's it for remasters that I've played this year, to be honest.
Okay. So I had never played all the way through Bayonetta, and so I finally did that this year. Loved it. On the Switch, of course. Really fun. I think for a game that's as old as Bayonetta 1 is, it still holds up as a really fun action game. And then I'm about halfway through Bayonetta 2. It's still downloaded, ready to play on my Switch. I just got distracted by lots of other stuff. Everything about Bayonetta 1, but better, looks better, plays better. It's more exciting. I think the combat feels a little tighter. It's great. So I totally agree with those picks. I also want to throw out there some other Wii U games that were brought over to the Switch. We talked with Bobby Pauls recently about the best Nintendo games of the year. And one of the points he brought up was, he and Derek were actually talking about this, that if you did not own a Wii, and Jesse, you and I think, are some of those types of people, right? We did not own a Wii U, then a lot of these felt like somewhat new experiences. Bayonetta 2, Toad's Treasure Tracker could be a new one for folks, or Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which is one that my kids and I really like. To me, that was a really fun game. Now, these are great re-releases that I can't really vote for Game of the Year because they came out already, but pretty good year if you're a Switch owner and skipped a lot of Wii U stuff. Pretty solid. Yeah.
Did Hyrule Warriors come out this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I played that one.
Edition. Yeah. Yeah. What'd you think about that? I still haven't played that.
I like it. I think it's fun. If you like those Dynasty Warriors games, if this is just it with a Zelda skin on it.
The closest thing to Dynasty Warriors I played was Drakengard for the PS2. Did you guys ever play that?
I did.
Okay. Again, not a super amazing game, but it had just enough hooks that I got addicted to it. And that was before I was so into, well, what do the reviews say? And is there a Metacritic? And what my friends think about me playing this? I didn't care about any of that stuff. I just played it for what it was and really enjoyed it. I liked the way you could level up weapons in Drakengard too. That's pretty fun. But I do need to try Hyrule Warriors because I'm a big Zelda fan.
Yeah, I am too, but I just typically don't like those Dynasty Warriors combat style games. So I haven't checked it out yet, but I might one day if I can get it on a sale.
For Dark Souls Remastered, I tried the demo on the Switch, which I thought was cool that they had a demo available for that. I thought it looked and ran surprisingly good on the Switch. I know that it looks best on the X, but I don't know. I don't know how interested I am in going back and trying it. I fought through several enemies and then died and then fought through those enemies again. And I could start to see that, okay, here we go with Dark Souls, the Dark Souls experience, but I just wasn't in that place to really dive in and try it out, but I can see why people like it.
Yep. One other game I got that would possibly be a remaster. It'd be a little gray in that area, but Fable Anniversary. It's backwards compatible on the Xbox 360. They went back and gave that Xbox One X enhancements. Okay. And I'm a big Fable 2 fan. It was like one of the first 360 games I ever played. And I always wanted to go back and play the original Fable and Fable Anniversary, but it just ran so poorly. The frame rate was just awful. And it was just miserable to play. I never really got past that opening area because I just get sick of the game. So once they had the One X patches, everything actually ran really good. It was up-resed in 4K, so it looked really nice. And I was actually able to get into it quite easily. And it wasn't a super long game, but it was definitely a real enjoyable experience once I got going. And without that update, I don't know that if I ever really would have went back and done that.
Yeah, yeah. Make Fable 4, Microsoft.
Please.
Make Fable 4.
I've been waiting.
I really think they're going to.
Oh, yeah. I think they will. Hopefully it's bomb, too.
I know we're not talking about looking forward to 2019 yet, but I'm just going to say this anyway. I think we are not too far away from a major surge from Microsoft. I really do. I feel like they've been loading up to do something. And I feel like it's going to come in a big, almost PS4 type wave, the way PS4 has been pushing out these exclusives. As I look at the PS4 horizon, I see things like, okay, we got Days Gone and, Last of Us 2. We got some stuff to look forward to, but it feels like it's starting to slow down just a touch. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a lot more than that. I feel like Microsoft is about to have a surge, and I'm excited if they do.
I honestly think
2020, 2021.
Yep, that's what I think, is they're gearing up for 2020.
Which would probably be the last 2 years of the Xbox One, right? Before they move on to their next thing.
I think fall 2020 they probably launch new consoles, and I'm guessing they're gearing up for the launch of that. I'm doubting we probably see much in 2019. I think they might have some newer stuff as far as hardware. They talked about the discless Xbox, for a budget-friendly model.
The what?
A discless Xbox.
Oh, okay. All right.
No disk drive. Not a dick.
Yeah, I heard it, Tim.
That was that old Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota thing.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of the accent, but so I think they might have some things like that. They're going to continue with their quality of life programs, just trying to make it a nice platform, and they've talked about doing like a disc to digital trade-in thing at really certain stores. So I think they'll do that kind of stuff, but I'm guessing the big game studios, it's going to take time, and I'm guessing 2020 and 2021 will start seeing more of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. Well, we went a little sidetrack there from some of our categories here. Let's get back to it. All right. So there's some of our favorite re-releases and remasters, of course, with the folks from the community currently. and I'm going to guess it's going to wrap up this way too, leaning very heavily towards the Spyro Reignited trilogy, which is interesting. Interesting. I didn't play it.
Yep.
Damn ponies.
I have.
That's fine, but if people that are fans of that really like that remaster, I hope it was a good one. But those just weren't my games.
Why don't you be a little more condescending, Phillips?
I'm trying to be.
I mean, if that's the garbage that you enjoy, then you go ahead and enjoy it.
I do enjoy it.
That's awesome. All right. Well, it's time for us to try to rank our first list here. We're going to try to get down to a top 3. And if we really have trouble, we could extend it to a top 5. But I want to see if we can trim away a bunch of these games and come up with our top 3 best combat games with best combat for the year. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it has to be action. You could make an argument that a strategy game has the best combat. For example, Valkyria Chronicles 4 is one that I at least want to mention as having really good combat. I don't think it's the best, even for me personally, but all I'm saying is it doesn't have to be action-related combat. Like it could be something strategy-centric. I really like stuff like Into the Breach and Valkyria Chronicles 4. But most people will lean in towards stuff like Spider-Man and God of War and things like that. So I'll go ahead and open
a shout out to Ashen on that one.
That's what I was going to open with.
Ashen.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah. Tell me about Ashen. What do you like about that combat?
Well, it's like in my experience, it's like a Dark Souls light. So it's not quite as difficult or intense as that Dark Souls formula it is, but it's clearly mimicking that formula. And then you also have that helper, so it brings in an added level of strategy.
Right.
So you always have, you can choose to always have an AI assist or a co-op assist. So you can take turns and flank the enemies, flank the bosses. Yep. And I just like that it has all of that strategy, but it's easy to just pick up and go too.
Yep.
And it's tight. The
not super not super complex, but nice and responsive. Kind of feels the way you think it should, which is great.
Right.
Yeah. Have you played that one yet, Dan? Have you played Ashen yet?
Yep, I'm really digging it. Mainly a lot of the reasons what Jesse said. It does have that Dark Souls formula, and it is a tough game. Definitely, people ganging up on you, it's easy to die. But with the AI companion, it does add a little strategy to it. Right. It's got a real nice art style, but the combat itself is solid for a Dark Souls clone. It's very competent. So yeah. I totally agree. I think it's got great combat in that game.
Decent variety of weapons too, right? You can do the single-handed with the shield, or you can do two-handed. But even then, you've got, it's not an incredible number of variations. You kind of have a club or an axe variation for each of those, right? You don't have swords or great swords or, all these different weapons you'll find in a Monster Hunter world, for example. But I think there's enough variation there for you to find something that you like. And then you essentially have your light attack, your strong attack, and then you can hold the strong attack for a charge attack. And then you can just try to do some combos in there. And that stamina bar, this is where it feels very much like a Souls or a Bloodborne. It's all about managing your stamina to attack at the right times, make sure you have enough there to roll away or to hold the shield up to block, things like that. And I think it's great. I think that totally deserves to be considered. What about Assassin's Creed Odyssey's combat? Have you guys, Jesse, have you played that one yet?
I have not, but okay. I am very confident that it has very strong combat.
You played Origins, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a lot like that. I think it's actually a little better, personally. I don't know if Dan agrees with that or not, but it's very similar to Origins in terms of they turned the page on Assassin's Creed combat completely.
Yep.
And anyway, I do think it's quite good. I think the combat's a lot of fun. Nowhere near as challenging as Ashen or Dark Souls, but it's fun.
But it does have a nice level of strategy in it. It's a lot like what you said from Origins, but they did bring over some new stuff. So you have like some type of power abilities that you can assign to different buttons.
Right.
So it's a little easier to use those. That gives you a little more variety in different situations. They took away your shield. So it's just basically a parry move that you can do. You can't just really sit there and block. And so it feels a little different where Origins, I relied pretty heavily on a shield throughout the game. a lot of different situations. So this is a little more fast paced, where you got to be ready to parry, counter, and attack. So
yeah,
I enjoyed the combat. I think it's really good. It's a different spin on Origins. I don't know. Jury's still out on that one for me. I don't know which one I like more, but I think they're both solid systems.
I like Odyssey way better than Origins as an overall package. I do miss the shield thing, and I feel like when you're in a ancient Greek, that Spartan setting, I really want to use a shield. I want to use a shield and my spear. I love that Spartan vibe of fighting. Some of the stuff you can do is really cool. A lot of the enemies you fight have shields, and they give you plenty of ways to get around or overpower those shields, which is great. But I'm with you. I kind of wish that's one thing that I would have a gripe with on that combat is they almost make you so overpowered offensively. They're kind of like, you don't need anything defensive other than maybe a parry. Other than that, just jump in there. So, but I mean, that's a minor gripe. It's overall very fun. What do you guys think about some of the main shooters from this year? Dan, I know you played some Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Would you guys consider a Battlefield or Call of Duty to be something to be considered for best combat?
I think you can make the case for it. Yeah. They have great mechanics. I mean, it's the same way as something like Destiny or even a Halo. I would consider those games, up there with combat, something like Assassin's Creed or Dark Souls. It's just a different form of it. Whether I'd rank it above some other games that came out this year, I've always been a big fan of Call of Duty's gameplay. I think the mechanics in those games are solid. Black Ops always been a favorite series of mine. It does handle and feel a little different than some of the other Call of Duty series. I think it feels like Black Ops feels really good.
It does.
I'm very happy with it. I mean, it's a very satisfying combat system, I will say, overall.
So I have tried Black Ops 4. I didn't put a lot of time into it, but it feels like more Call of Duty.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's doing anything different.
Not really.
And I don't know if that matters. If
the overall gameplay mechanics, they threw in some more like Overwatch type stuff with it, with the specialists. Yeah, but I mean, overall, the mechanics of the gunplay and everything, Call of Duty is Call of Duty. I mean, that doesn't change much. And it's not broken. You don't need to fix it. It is pretty flawless in my mind. I think it's an enjoyable, gun mechanic.
So I would have trouble putting either of those two main shooter franchises on this particular list, mainly because as much as I think it is fun to shoot in both those games for different reasons, I feel like the overall combat experience in a lot of these other games, and we still have a few others to talk about, are just better, more satisfying in general. That doesn't mean I don't think those two are two of the best shooters out there, because I do. I played a tiny bit of Battlefield 5, again, thanks to Derek for getting that on the Xbox One X. So I downloaded that, and I did play it briefly. It feels a lot like, in my opinion, Battlefield 1. Just feels a little newer. It works great if you like the battle. I still prefer Call of Duty, personally. I guess I'm a dude bro or whatever, but I prefer Call of Duty's combat system. But I would have trouble putting either of these on a list like this.
Yep, and I agree. I mean, as much as I like those series, I think there's better games for top 3 than those, because they're the same things they've been doing for years now. And as much as I like Ashen and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I think there's even other games that are probably better than those. I'm sure we're going to get to them, but one I want to make sure we get to is Dead Cells.
Talk to me about Dead Cells.
Dead Cells combat, I think, was just really something special. It was
side-scrolling, pixelated game. What's wrong with you, Dan?
I don't know, and I can't believe I like a trash game like Dead Cells. But when you learn the mechanics and you dodge and you roll and you're slashing and using your specials, you get this flow going, and it's just like
throw a couple turrets on the backside of the enemy, and on the front side you're doing all your moves.
And you're just taking out all these waves of enemies. You're not taking any damage, and you're just roughing everybody up, and you power yourself up. And it's just, once you get into that game, that combat is so rewarding and satisfying, and every run's a little different depending what you're picking up and what you're using and how you use them together and level them up. And God, I was just really surprised this year with Dead Cells. I thought I would like it. It looked cool, but once it got its hooks in me, definitely one of the best combat systems I've ever experienced in like a 2D action game like that. Better than anything like Hollow Knight or Salt and Sanctuary. I mean, I just think games like this don't even come on the level of Dead Cells, and very few games do. So I definitely think it deserves a spot in the top 3 for me. It's probably the best combat of any game I played this year.
And Jesse, did you play Dead Cells? And whether or not you played it, would you nominate that one, or do you have a different one that comes to mind for you?
I did not play it, but I would be okay with that being in the top 3. I've seen gameplay of it. It looks fantastic.
It really is. And by the way, if people as shallow as Derek and Sasan can get on board with Dead Cells, and I mean, they don't usually like any games that look old school and pixelated, and they both love it. They like the way it looks, they like the animation, and they love the combat as well. So that says something.
Yeah, that should speak volumes.
What's that?
It's not like true pixel art, though.
It's not. It looks really modern. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what games come to mind for you, Jesse, when you think of really fun combat from 2018? Is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Well, my number one is going to be Spider-Man.
Okay.
I think that the fluidity, the options you get for like the tools, the way you can just like hop from enemy to enemy to enemy, take out 15 people without ever getting hit. Oh, it felt so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Spider-Man, it was probably the most fun superhero combat I've played since the Arkham games. And I don't know which one of those I prefer. I love both those superheroes so much. I don't know. I don't know which one I prefer, but I know I like them both.
Yeah, they're both different, but both top tier comic book character games, and definitely I think Spider-Man did something special with everything it does here. You felt just like a badass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, Spider-Man's awesome. That's a good pick. I was going to make sure that we get that one up into consideration as well. Let's talk real quick. Should we rule out these other 2 first-person games that came to mind for me? I have not played Fallout 76, but I know the Fallout series usually gets a lot of love for its combat system. But since it's online, and I believe the way you normally do your VAT system is now different, I'm not sure it still has that same level of combat, acumen. And then, of course, Far Cry 5, another first-person game that I think is flat out fun to play, but similar to Call of Duty and Battlefield. Kind of the combat's the same thing as other Far Cry games, to be honest, which is fine, but nothing special.
Fallout 76 is garbage. We can't put that on any list.
And that's what Derek gets welcomed in with. Derek gets welcomed in by Fallout 76.
Oh no.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. All right, so we'll rule that one out. And is it safe to rule out Far Cry 5 for best combat of the year based on this other things we're talking about?
I think so.
Okay. It is still a lot of fun. I think it's the best version of Far Cry combat that's out there. There's a lot of fun weapons to use. It's a blast, but I just don't think it holds. We've already talked about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Ashen, Dead Cells, Spider-Man. I'm about to throw God of War into the mix there as one of my favorite combat systems.
It's got to be up there.
So I just don't think Far Cry 5 holds up. Before we talk about God of War, what do you guys think about the combat in Red Dead Redemption 2? Is that a weak point or just not necessarily a super strong point of that game?
I don't think it's a weak point, but I don't think it's doing anything exceptional either.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I'd have to agree. I think it's like it has a real nice visceral feeling to it. Something like The Last of Us has some weight to it, floatiness, but in the end, it just doesn't do anything special. I don't think it really exceeds in its combat. That's not the strength of the game. It does it okay, but
the Deadeye is pretty fun. The Deadeye mechanic.
The Deadeye is really cool. It makes you feel like a badass, but the rest of it, kind of the brawling and some of the other gunfights, just not always the high point.
Yeah, the brawling didn't quite hold up for me. I didn't like that part as much, but I did think that the shooting was fun. I mean, it's just auto assist and then flick the right stick up a tad bit to get up to a headshot. That's pretty much all it is.
Yeah, it's simple.
But what I thought the really fun parts of these massive shootouts with tons of enemies and tons of your guys, and you're all just shooting each other and just picking guys off, or you try to work around the flank and use a shotgun or a sawed-off shotgun to take them out. You're right. The guns feel great. The combat itself, not worthy of a list like this. I also want to bring up Monster Hunter World. Has one of my personal favorite combat systems, but I know that game is a tough one to sell on a lot of people.
It fell flat for me. So if I just enjoy combat of other games.
What about you, Derek?
I'm confused where we're at. How many games have you thrown out there for best combat?
Assassin's Creed, Ashen, Dead Cells, Spider-Man, and God of War so far. Not in order yet. That's
okay.
Yeah.
So compared to those, what was the game you just mentioned?
Monster Hunter World.
I think Monster Hunter World has good combat. It's just, I don't know. It's good. I just feel like it's a little wonky. Like the camera can get a little finicky because the monsters
that's true.
Are huge. So I understand that would be very difficult to fix. I can't say that somebody could nail it better than what Monster Hunter did, just because, like I said, the beasts and monsters are so huge. But I think it's fun to play. I think it's a good game. It's got good strategy. I don't know. There's just something about it that I don't feel like it's at the level that I would put it top 3. Like some of the games you mentioned, like Dead Cells has a smoothness to it that I'm like, okay, when I tap the button, immediately he swings.
Yes.
And it's very smooth and methodical. I also would say God of War is that way. When I make a decision, God of War is right there. It does it. And it's pretty smart combat. So I think there's too many games that I would put above Monster Hunter.
The only case that I would make for it, and I don't think we can get it into even if we did a top 5 for our combined list here. For me personally, I have it in there. The one case I'll make for it though is that it has a wide variety of weapons you can use, and each one of them has their own completely different set of combat mechanics. Everything from the giant hammer to you have the gun blade type thing. You have a shield and sword, or you can have a lance. You have all these different weapons you can use, and each one of them, honestly, almost feels like a different combat system completely, almost like different games. So they did a really good job of providing a wide variety of combat to kind of go with whatever your play style is. But that being said, there are other games that do it better, I think, this year. And is it okay to rule out stuff like, Soul Calibur, Dragon Ball Fighters, and Super Smash from best combat?
I would be perfectly fine with that. Soul Calibur, that's the only one I've played, but I mean the combat's fine.
That's all it's about, right? It's just combat. So
yeah, and it does it competently, but it's hard for me to rank that above those other games because fighting games just aren't really I enjoy them, but they're never going to be my favorite thing. So it's just not as fun. It doesn't have that fun factor that something like Spider-Man has.
I totally agree with that.
It does great. It does what it does great.
Yeah. I have an inherent bias against fighting games, as most of you know. So I'm not usually a proponent of putting those in really most lists of Game of the Year, unless it's something truly unique. Kind of the same way with sports games, and that's kind of unfair. But for the most part, when it comes to Game of the Year stuff, fighting games and sports games and even racing games, I say there might be a category for them somewhere, but leave them out of the big boy categories. That's just me. That's just my personal bias, though. So
I can understand that with sports and fighting games because, they're really just reiterating on the same thing. With like a basketball game, basketball isn't changing. It's basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's not really a whole lot of innovation you can do.
Right.
Racing games, I would fight you on, though.
Really? Forza Horizon 4 is a beautiful game, but is it really that different from Forza Horizon 3?
It is so
It is fun. It is fun. I know we're talking combat and we're arguing about racing games. All right. So we can talk about that one here in a little bit.
I do want to give a shout out to one that I know won't make the top 3, but has fun combat is
Nobody cares about Hellblade. Nobody cares about Hellblade. Please shut up about
Go
Hellblade.
away. Jesus. Grow a beard, be a man.
True, Derek, you are the only beardless one.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I'm the only one that's good looking, so you do the math on that there, Barbie.
All right. So, Jesse, you were going to say one that you want to mention at least as an honorable mention here.
Yeah, Dragon Quest 11.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good call.
So it takes its combat system is like a pseudo turn-based system where you don't really have a gauge, but you can't just constantly attack. You have to wait. So you do a series of attacks, then you wait, series of attacks. and you have your teammates that they're doing their thing, so you're trying to kind of like strategize your attacks with what they're doing.
Okay.
It does it all pretty well, and it's fun, but it's not going to compete with what we're going to be talking about. So I just want to give it a shout out.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do the same thing for Octopath Traveler. It does pretty much what a lot of previous, especially 16 and 32-bit JRPGs did. It just does it in a really creative way with a lot of really fun special moves, but nothing that's going to completely change your life. If you like JRPG turn-based combat, you'll like Octopath
I actually
Traveler.
think Octopath is better than Dragon Quest, and I like Dragon Quest. I just think what they do with Octopath is better.
It is really good.
Yeah.
It is really, really
I
good.
like it
I
a
also want to mention a couple other games that probably have really fun combat, but admittedly, I haven't played them. Darksiders 3, I know that one of the few positive things people have said is that it is fast-paced, fun combat. But I haven't tried it. And then, of course, Just Cause 4, I should at least mention it because of the mayhem. Again, I haven't played it, but I know that you can just blow tons of stuff up and cause havoc everywhere you go. So I know that can be fun for folks. I personally have found specifically the shooting and lack of a true cover-based shooting mechanic in Just Cause to be kind of a deal breaker for me personally when I play that game. But anyway, I wanted to at least mention those, that we're not forgetting them. They're just not really in consideration, in my opinion, for this list. I think Dan might have died, so we'll see if he rejoins us. The 5 that we currently have, unless I'm forgetting something, is in alphabetical order here: Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Actually, it should be Ashen first, then Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Dead Cells, God of War, and Spider-Man. Those are the 5 that we have. Are there any missing from 2018 that you would say need to be considered for the best combat?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Jesse, I know that Spider-Man is your favorite game in terms of combat for the year. I actually, now that we're on these 5, I don't really have a problem with any of them winning, to be honest with you. I think they're all really fun. They have great.
They're all pretty different.
They're all very different. So I will say this. I think out of these 5, 2 of them have really fast-paced, just flat-out fun. That's Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Spider-Man, where you kind of are overpowered with tons of options, lots of special moves you can do, and it's a blast. And then the other ones, Ashen, Dead Cells, and God of War, I think require a more thoughtful approach to the battles. And yes, you can feel completely overpowered at times, but for the most part, with God of War, you've got to use block, you've got to know when to dodge, you've got to know when to use your attacks. Ashen, of course, can be very difficult if you just go in swinging. You're going to die a lot. You have to really carefully plot out what you're going to do and how. And of course, Dead Cells, I think, is the same way. You have to approach things carefully. So for me personally, when I think of best combat, the way I'm not making you guys do it this way. I'm thinking of what games have a combination of being fun, but also having that some kind of unique complexity to it. And so that's why, for me personally, I'm going to put Dead Cells at the top of my best combat list, because I think it has that right combination of fast-paced and fun, but also you really got to think. You have to apply all these different mechanics. And even when you're really good at it, you can still fail if they throw the right combo of enemies at you. You have to be really careful. So for me personally, Dead Cells is at the top, and I'd be okay with something like Spider-Man being second. But I don't know, Derek and Dan, what you guys think?
Dead Cells, I think, has to be on the top of the list. I don't know. I would strongly argue everything you said, so I can't really say much more than that. Spider-Man, God of War, I would flip a coin, put those 2, 3, whatever order you want. Personally, I like God of War combat. I think that was better than Spider-Man as far as holding up throughout the game. I don't know. I just, with Spider-Man, ended up reverting to the same combos over and over again because it worked, and it got a little dull by the time I got the platinum.
Well, Dan, you have no one to blame but yourself for that, okay?
I do.
Derek, what do you think about something like Dead Cells being at the top?
I would put it at 3. I'd put Spider-Man at 2 and God of War at 1.
What did you like about God of War? What would make you put that so high?
It's better.
So over these last couple years of doing podcasting with Derek, there's times when I think, hey, we're getting really good at this. And there's other times when I ask Derek a question and that happens and I go, never mind. Never mind.
What did you say today on Facebook? I literally have no idea what you're saying 99% of the time, maybe 100% of the time.
It was something to the effect of, I truly don't understand most of your posts. Just
That's
truly,
what it, that was what it was. So you
I
don't
just
understand.
don't.
That's
I
how
want to.
communicate.
Like, I want to laugh along with you. You know, I just don't get it. I just can't do it.
It doesn't even matter. I laugh at them myself, so that's all that really matters. No, I would say, here's how I look at it. Look, I understand if you break it down, maybe Dead Cells is smoother, better, whatever. I asked the question, what game this year did I have the most fun playing? And it's God of War. And then the second would be Spider-Man. And then I'm only putting Dead Cells third because you guys like it. I would actually put Ashen before Dead Cells.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I like Ashen way better than Dead Cells.
All right. Jesse, talk to me about Spider-Man compared to God of War for you personally.
So I thoroughly enjoyed the combat in God of War. It's wicked fun. You definitely have to plan it out, strategize, but I didn't get super hyped about God of War combat until much later in the story when you get a certain weapon back.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you just go bonkers. After that moment, I had, if the whole game was like that, it would be number one easily for me.
Interesting.
Well, all you have to do is play New Game Plus. I have that weapon from the beginning, and I've enjoyed it.
And hey, I know we're not talking about best story moments or anything like that, but that was probably one of the best story moments of the year, was that storyline when you go back to your house. That was so cool. That was really, really cool.
Anyway. It was really cool until you get back, kill your kid, and he becomes a prick. But
you're not wrong. Yeah, that kid's annoying. You're like, I did this for you.
I just wanted to kick him off a ledge, to be honest. But
yeah, you're not wrong about that either. All right. Well, for me personally, Dead Cells is at the top, and then I'm kind of with Dan on that. With between Spider-Man and God of War, it's a bit of a coin flip. That's just because I like them both so much. I'd put Ashen and Assassin's Creed Odyssey actually below all three of those. Not as an insult to either of them. I think they're a blast. You've heard me talk a lot about how much I love Assassin's Creed Odyssey and how much fun it is to play. Truly is a blast to play. I just think pure combat alone, Dead Cells, Spider-Man, and God of War are kind of in their own league, in my personal opinion. That's just what I think about it.
I will say, after doing the third cave and the third boss for Ashen, the game makes me want to kill myself because it's just ridiculous. Even though the combat's fun, they've made that section, that cave, almost impossible to play by yourself. Yeah. Meaning, like, no matter how good you get at this combat, you're gonna suck and you're gonna lose every time.
I agree. I had to go through that. I think I even made a post about it, having to do that part, I don't know, a solid 70 times.
Well, here's the funny thing. I probably died 20 times. And you go, well, then you're better than Jesse. No, I got lucky. I actually went through it, beat the boss, and I got a message from a guy. He's like, thank you so much. I've been stuck on this cave for 2 days. But he's playing on like the new game plus. Like, I guess he unlocked that. I don't know what it's called. It's like the second playthrough. It's, I guess, a more difficult level of difficulty.
Jeez.
So essentially, to me, what I'm trying to say is, even though the combat's fun, no matter how good you get at it, the way the game's designed, they rely too much on the AI. And my frustration with the AI is it's hit or miss. Like, you either get a great companion like I was for him and he was for me, or you get the AI from the computer, which is fine. I actually don't have any issues from it, except that he just disappears. I'm like, where'd you go?
He will. He'll just literally disappear.
I literally feel like John Travolta. I'm like,
yeah, from Pulp Fiction. Yeah.
Where'd you go, dude?
That's a great point about Ashen. I just hit the final area of Ashen, and I'm kind of stuck in it because it's so challenging just to get through the area. It's very dark. There's water everywhere, so it's very easy to fall off the wrong ledge and then drown because you can't get back up. And the enemies that you're fighting are mostly the shadow-based enemies that rush you and tackle you. And if your AI companion happened to disappear, which, like you said, happens frequently, you're screwed because that guy will just have you pinned down while they all kill you. So for me personally, as much as I enjoy the very basic core combat of Ashen. I think it's very solid. It's, to me
That's
personally, just
It's not
as good as what
Dark
they've
Souls.
done for some of the Dark Souls games, I was going to say. And that's just for me personally. But that being said, it doesn't add enough of the bells and whistles, the upgrades, the ways to adjust your game as you go. It's kind of the same thing throughout, which is why I love Spider-Man, Dead Cells, and God of War, which is why I liked something like Bloodborne, because I felt like that game had a certain evolution to it as you played it. You learn new ways to do different things. So,
Jesse, did you play Dead Cells?
No, I didn't. But what I was going to say is, even though I haven't played Dead Cells or Assassin's Creed, I'd actually be cool with Ashen being after both of them.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'd probably do, just because I know I would enjoy it more. I'd probably put Assassin's Creed over Dead Cells, just because I know I would have more fun with it.
you probably would. The thing about Dead Cells is that the roguelike aspect of it can be a turnoff for some folks. And
That's why I'm not putting it higher.
And it kind of was for me at first, but as I finally got into the groove of how do you do some permanent unlocks and how do you think of it more like roguelike runs and less like an ongoing Metroidvania. Anyway.
Yeah, it's like Below, which I played 2 rounds and then.
Oh, it's nothing like Below.
No.
Below's
Don't you
awful.
start back at the beginning?
Yeah, I don't
Dead
like
Cells?
that. I did.
No, Dead
you
Cells,
do.
don't you start back at the
You
beginning?
do, but yes, you do.
Dead Cells is much better though.
Yeah, but not only do you start at the beginning, but you get to the point where you can fly through those levels 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Like you start to be able to find the shortcuts quickly and get through them quite quickly to get where you need to go. But we don't want to belabor this point too much. I do think our top 3, it sounds like, is some, I don't know what the order is, but it's a God of War, Dead Cells, Spider-Man top 3.
Yes.
Dan, if you had to order those, what would you put them in?
If I had to order those 3, I'd go Dead Cells, God of War, then Spider-Man.
And Derek, what would you do?
God of War, Spider-Man, Dead Cells.
Jesse?
Spider-Man, God of War, Dead Cells.
And I'd go Dead Cells, Spider-Man, God of War. So Spider-Man actually probably has the most
average
points there. Yeah. Spider-Man probably, which is funny because it's only one person's top, but I think that would finish with the most points there. So it would actually finish with Spider-Man, Dead Cells, then God of War. So how it would finish, I believe.
Seems like bullshit because I feel like I should get more points for my vote.
If you showed up on time to recordings, you would have. But
I had drama, bro. I had drama.
Well, stop causing drama.
That's what happened.
Again, grow a beard, be a man. You want to have drama.
We have a lot of beard happening on this podcast, and none of it involves Derek.
Bro, all I'm doing is looking at how cute I look right now.
Jeez.
Oh, hold on. I just got sick a little.
This is all day at work. This is what all the women tell me.
And do they immediately run and vomit in the bathroom?
Yeah,
Oh,
do.
Lord. And so I'm actually okay with this top list, and I went ahead and added Assassin's Creed and Ashen onto this list too. So we technically have a top 5, and it's Spider-Man, Dead Cells, God of War, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Ashen as our 5 favorite combat systems this year. All of them really, really fun.
I noticed Hellblade's not there. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a game from this year, so.
Oh yeah,
Doesn't
Jesse,
matter.
you didn't mention that in our remaster re-release. I don't know if that's something you wanted to bring up now.
Yeah, 4K on the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good release.
I did play through it.
Again.
Is
Yeah,
it on
I
Game
played
Pass?
it, I think, 6
I was
times.
actually going to try playing it on Game Pass just because I wanted to see how it looked on the X. I played it on the Pro. I'm pretty sure it was the Pro, but yeah, I wasn't as big a fan of it.
It is a good-looking game.
It is.
really is. I just want to call it trash every time Jesse's around. It's trash. All right, what's the next topic?
All right,
Sarge in charge.
we're gonna move on here. Let's talk really quick about Derek's drama. Let's dig into that. Top 5 dramas for the year for Derek. I'm just kidding. We're not gonna do that to you. We're not gonna do that to you.
I don't think we got the time.
No, we don't. All right.
I can't control when like one of my girlfriends shows up at the soccer field. I can't control that.
Actually,
No,
do you
I'm
know?
kidding.
You know what we should totally do is we should actually put up 5 selfies of Derek, and we'll rank the best Derek selfies of the year.
Yes, we should
That'd be
do
great.
that.
That'd be really funny.
That's a list I can get behind.
Guys are the worst. I
That'd be really
thought
funny.
y'all were my friends.
All right. So taking a break from kind of creating our, debating our way to a ranked list. Do you guys have any favorite sports games of the year? So as you think about,
can I ask real quick, what were y'all talking about before y'all did the combat?
Remasters and re-releases.
Oh, for this year?
Yeah.
Like what was the best?
Oh, it was just some of the ones that we enjoyed. Shadow of the Colossus, Donkey Kong Country, Dark Souls Remastered, stuff like that.
Okay. Just curious.
So the only sports game that I actually put any time into this year was a racing game, weirdly enough, and that was Forza Horizon 4.
Because it's phenomenal.
It's beautiful. It's fun. The cars are great. There's nothing to dislike about it, even if you aren't a huge racing fan like myself. So that was by far my favorite sports game, and honestly, one of the only ones I put time into. So that's the only contribution I have to this. But did any of the rest of you play sports games that you think are worth mentioning from 2018?
I played Forza, NBA 2K19, and Madden 19. All of which are phenomenal. NBA and Madden, do what they do. You play football and you play basketball, and they do it very competently.
Thank you so much for that breakdown, Jesse White.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, what else can you say about a sports game? You're playing a team sport.
Yeah.
Yep. I played Forza Horizon 4. That would definitely be the top of my list. Phenomenal game. I am not a racing game guy. The last racing game I got into, I think, was on the GameCube. So, but I love the Forza Horizon series. Definitely the best sports game I played this year. I'd also mention Wipeout Omega Collection. That got an update for VR this year. So I don't know if that would count. But it is a pretty cool racing game in VR. I would say it's one of the best racing games I've played in VR. So I did really enjoy that. And then I spent a little time with Mario Tennis Aces on the Switch. And for a tennis game, it's fine. It's fun. I didn't do much of the online stuff. A lot of people had gripes with that. So, but I thought it was a fine tennis game.
Did it have did you play any of the story mode or whatever, where it had boss matches and stuff? Was that fun? I only played a little bit, but did you progress through it at all, or just only do a little bit?
Yeah, I only did a little bit. It was okay. It gave you different objectives and challenges, so it was cool within the mechanics of the game. But ultimately, it's a tennis game and doesn't go real deep into it. I didn't get real deep with it, but it was fun for what I played.
Okay. For me, I'm just gonna echo that Forza Horizon 4 is not only the best sports game this year, but it's the best racing game I've ever played. And I'm a big racing fan. I buy most of them. I love Burnout Paradise. Before that, I would say Forza Horizon 2 was probably my second favorite racer. So the Horizon series is definitely special to me. In fact, I went all out for Horizon 4. There was something about where it was being located. I just was excited, and I bought the $100 version, and I do not regret it. I love all the cars I have. I have a huge collection of cars. I still will jump into that game, kind of not as frequent as I play Rocket League, but it has become like a Rocket League for me, where I'll just put on Spotify, put some Chevelle on, and then log into Forza Horizon 4 and just chill out and play. So that is a phenomenal game. Just like Jesse White, I played NBA 2K19. It has basketball in it. You can bounce it.
You throw it through a hoop.
Throw it through a hoop. So yeah, it's fine. I just don't.
The story mode is pretty cool in that game. They did the story mode pretty well.
I have not checked it out because I got it with my second Xbox One X. Yeah, I have two of those. So I got it free, and I didn't play it much. I just basically booted it up to see what it looked like. So I technically played it, but I don't give a crap about NBA.
So first things first, in 2019, we're going to begin a new series called Fathers of the Grind Cribs. And we are going to
that's my mom back there.
Take a look at Derek's houses and all his Xboxes. It's going to be great.
What the hell? I can't get my finger. There we go. That's my mom. I love her.
All right. So there's your first peek at what Cribs is going to be like. All right. Let's move on to Microsoft exclusive. It's funny. We were messaging about this earlier today, and I think we all agreed this is going to be a shorter part of our conversation tonight. Shouldn't be a ton to discuss here. I could only come up with 5 games that are and maybe let me say this the right way, notable console exclusives for the Xbox One. There might be some little indies that I'm totally forgetting about. Like last year there was Candleman or whatever. You know what I mean? There's always something.
I just want to say that at least we have 5.
Right.
Because last year was a pain in the butt to come up with games.
Well, not only do we have 5, but I think there's at least a few of these that I think are somewhere between pretty good and great. So we have in alphabetical order, Ashen, Below, Forza Horizon 4, Sea of Thieves, and State of Decay 2.
And if we're just doing a top 3 for exclusives, right?
Yep.
Out of those games, there's only 3 that belong on that list.
I agree.
So which 2 would you kick off?
Below, it needs to go, and I really want to like it. The vibe, atmosphere, it's cool, but no, Below.
Yeah, okay. The vibe atmosphere is cool, but can we all agree that the opening scene was incredibly annoying? How long it took to zoom in?
It took so long.
And once you're zoomed in, you're not even zoomed in. And
it was so annoying.
Yeah, no. So get that off the list, and I gotta say, State of Decay 2 is just not a game that belongs on the list with.
How dare you?
In other words, it is straight garbage.
It's not great.
It's not good.
No, it's
in
not.
In fact, I played it the day it came out.
Yeah, we all did.
Jesse.
No, I did too. A game.
Yeah, but hold on. I got a point. I played it that night with you guys and never played it again.
Yep.
And I got off that game going, it's not that bad. And I was like, after I thought about it, I was like, I never want to touch this game again. It's just not fun. It's just stupid, even with friends. So I played it with friends, and I won't never want to touch that game.
So we're okay kicking those 2
I am. Yeah. Below and
I
State of
really
Decay.
think we should just do a top 2, to be honest.
Well, I want to do a top
all right.
3.
Hang on. Hang on.
Well, Sea of Thieves is straight trash, too.
It is not straight trash.
It is, but it has
not.
really nice quality.
No, it's not. No. You be quiet. Stop that.
Didn't your mom tell you not to point at people's faces? It's rude.
Yeah, that is wrong. Okay, let me just quickly say why I think we should at least acknowledge Sea of Thieves as the third best Microsoft exclusive this year.
Because you and Nate Bacon like it. Congratulations.
We do. First of all, I want to channel my inner Nate and say that State of Decay 2 has some great RPG mechanics, so you guys need to stop hating. And but seriously though, Sea of Thieves. Yes. And it's not just because I want to be more like Nate and his brother Alex. That's not why. Okay, that's not the only reason why. Sea of Thieves is, while I think it has a lot of shortcomings and didn't deliver on everything that I would have wanted as someone who loves this idea of open world pirating with friends, whatever else, it still has enough of those fun gameplay hooks. I think sailing your ship is fun, and let's be honest, it's got the best looking water in video games. Don't you think?
Well, no, Forza Horizon 4 uses the same water. So
yeah, but it's got its water from Forza. So I mean, it is some of the best water seas.
Yeah, so it's like the opposite of that one infamous Pokemon review from IGN. It's a 6.7 or whatever because of all the water. That's why we like it.
Yep.
So I think Sea of Thieves is really fun, especially when you have friends. They've added a lot of stuff to it. For those of you who haven't kept up with it, they've actually done a really good job at adding major events and seasonal stuff, and they are giving away a lot of things. The sad thing, and I've talked about this before, I really wish this game had more of a progression system to it, where you actually did have some sort of, I'm getting stronger, my boat is getting better, the clothes I'm wearing actually give me defensive boosts or something. You know, I can get new guns that have new functionality, not just a new coat of paint on them. That's the big struggle with this game. I think if it had a true loot system that let you actually upgrade your gear, guys like Derek and Jesse would have actually really liked this game a lot more, I believe. But since it doesn't have that, it does not belong above Ashen or Forza. I won't argue that, but I do think it is a decent and pretty fun game for what it is. I'll just throw it out there.
I gotta echo everything that Tim said. Sea of Thieves, I only played it hopping in with a group of people, and it was just crazy fun chaos that ensued. It was more of like a glorified chat room where we're sailing a ship around, but we had
Dan, was that us that had the Kraken attack us?
Yes.
See, that kind of stuff was a blast, man. We went and attacked a fort and took down this major skeleton king boss guy and had this huge cave full of loot at the end. That was a lot of fun. So to me, that's why Sea of Thieves probably feels like a better game than it does to others.
Yep. And it definitely has some of those really good moments. But of these like games with service, a lot of times, the downfall of them is they feel feel empty. There's just not enough stuff in there or enough to keep you going. And I think it definitely suffers from that. A lot of what you said, no real RPG mechanics, and I think that definitely would have boosted it. But
they've added a lot of stuff since then, though, including like this megalodon that will start stalking your ship if you sail around for too long between islands, stuff like that. They've added some stuff that I think makes it feel more alive and a little more dangerous as you're sailing around. But
it's still straight trash. You can put it at 3, but we don't need to talk about it anymore. You're boring me just talking about it.
Why are we friends? Why are we friends? Okay, so Jesse.
Actually, I have not played Below. I would put Below before State of Decay.
No, you wouldn't. Before Sea of Thieves? Before
Sea of Thieves and State of Decay.
No, you wouldn't. You really wouldn't. You would play Below and be angry.
You were supposed to buy Below so I could play it, but you're a lying cheat. But hey, that's.
I played it because I forgot I still have Game Pass, and I played it through Game Pass, and I am saving you time and energy to not play Below. I'm telling you, you won't like it.
Yeah, you won't like it.
You definitely won't like it.
But
so
Jesse,
Jesse, what would you put first and second on this massive Microsoft list?
I would probably go Ashen and then Forza.
Wow.
But I'm pretty even on them, to be honest. You could flip-flop either way. But Ashen is just more my kind of game. I'm more of a action-adventure kind of gamer than I am a racer. So that's really my only justification.
Yeah.
I'm a bigger fan of, action-adventure games, Dark Souls games. I mean, that's definitely my genre, my bread and butter. Those are the things I like to play. But, between Forza and Ashen, it's just Forza is such top-tier quality. It's a big open world racing. It's fun. It's got a ton of stuff there. I have to give it to Forza over Ashen in this one.
What about you, Derek?
Originally, I would have said Ashen easily. In fact, I think Forza and Ashen are right next to each other in my top 10, and I had Ashen above Forza. But after going through this third cave, fighting the third boss, which the third boss wasn't even hard. It was
easy. Yeah, it was easy.
Getting to him is a bigger pain in the butt. And like I said, I feel like it's the design of the cave that's just relentlessly ridiculous.
The save points are too far away.
Yes. So that's my issue. I'm going to have to go with Forza Horizon 4, even though I am like Jesse and Dan. Even though I say I like racers, I will always say Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all that those third-person action RPG games are way above racers. But I just think Horizon 4 is just too good. It is easily the best Xbox game to come out. And then Ashen is a very close second. Now, I might change my tune as I keep playing Ashen, but right now in my memory is that frustration of that cave.
Yeah, I've progressed past that cave now, and it's gotten better again. But I haven't actually gotten to the fourth boss yet, so I'm exploring the next area.
Okay.
Did
you get the trying not to spoil anything here? There's a way you can more quickly move around the.
Yes.
Okay. That kind of opens things up a little bit.
Yes, it
Tons
does.
more secrets to find and things like that. Okay. And the fast travel is kind of a creative way they had to do that too. I like each of those elements. I think the lore is actually somewhat interesting if you allow yourself to listen to what the lore is for that game. I find it to be quite fascinating.
Yeah, I totally do that.
Yep.
God, you're such a nerd, Tim. Like, seriously.
Come
I'm
on.
listening to the lore. And
Hang
stuff.
on.
It is pretty interesting. I like it.
He's muting me.
There we go. Much better. Much better. There we go.
Oh my god.
All right.
Sorry I offended you, buddy.
You did. I got triggered. Hey, so it sounds like we've got two that are putting Forza over Ashen. We've got one who barely picked Ashen over Forza. And so either I could make it a tie or I could go ahead and just give the title of Best Xbox Game of the Year to Forza. I'm actually going to put Sea of Thieves number 1. Just kidding.
Just end the show already.
Come on, Tim. Really?
I'm not going to do that. These are really close, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am not the biggest car and or racing fan. So as much as I have to acknowledge that Forza is fantastic and a lot of fun, I just don't find myself drawn to it that much. Ashen, I have trouble putting down, even when I'm ticked off, and it's the 18th time I've gone to this level. I just finished this palace and a boss at the end of that palace that was really tough. I had a really hard time there. But boy, was it satisfying. Again, it's that same Dark Souls and Bloodborne hook that gets you, where it's like, right as you're about to say, I'm uninstalling this garbage, I'm never playing it again, you finally win, and you feel so good. And you keep playing. So
let's just do this.
Go ahead.
Let's just put Ashen at 1 because I'm going to go ahead and flip because I have a feeling when I beat Ashen and I'm pretty much committing myself to doing that, I have a feeling it's going to be really high up on my list of things that I love.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Even though I was pushing Forza over Ashen, I definitely get the argument, and I love those kind of games, so I'm fine with that being number 1.
I'm just glad that Microsoft had an exclusive like that this year. I really am. So I'm also
I'm kind of saddened by Below being so disappointing to you three, and the reason I say that is because I really root for Microsoft to get their act together, and I was hoping to have at the end of the year those 2 games drop. And I'm not saying Below's terrible. I think it's reviewing good, right? I don't know.
I'm not even sure.
I think there will be a sect of people that like Below. I think there will be people that like that game.
Hey, Derek, remember when everyone was saying that Grow Home and Gone Home were some of the best games of the year?
Yeah, or Journey.
Okay, Journey, right.
Actually, the Metacritic is 71%, so it's not as good as I thought.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so it's trash.
Yep, I wish it was more Zelda-like and had less of the survival crafting stuff in it. It's I don't know. I'm disappointed.
Okay, so for anyone who's listening who doesn't know what we're talking about, it is a kind of a top-down game with it actually has a really cool art style, although it's too zoomed out. I really have trouble seeing what's going on. I wish you could adjust that. They don't tell you.
That's really dumb that you can't, by the way.
They don't tell you anything, so you have to learn all the button presses. There might be a few prompts for like the campfires and stuff, but most of it is figured out on your own. Even how to bring up
it's pretty simple.
A lot of it's very simple. There's a pretty simple inventory system. You can do some crafting at the fires, and then when you eventually stumble upon whether it's spikes that kill most people or an enemy kills you, whatever it is, you realize that it takes you right back to the beginning when your ship lands on shore. And other than a few things like, shortcuts you've unlocked or a few doors that you've opened, everything resets. Your inventory is empty. And I'm pretty sure you can unlock fast travel points and you might be able to unlock ways to keep certain items. But I realized quickly that, okay, they're going to make me do this every time I die. Some of this stuff is one-hit kills. I'm already kind of frustrated not being able to see everything. I had to scoot in closer.
I'm just not into that stuff because even with Dead Cells, I love Dead Cells. I'm not going to sit here and act like I played it for 20 hours. I didn't. I got my itch or whatever, playing it for 4 or 5, whatever I did, maybe a little longer because I did like it for a while. But the thing that got me to go, you know what? I'm not playing this game again. I'm not even going to try to beat it. Is I don't mind repeating stuff over and over. Like Bloodborne, Dark Souls, you are repeating yourself over and over, as long as I know I'm moving forward. Meaning, when I play Dark Souls, let's say I'm dying on a boss over and over, I'm still, while I'm doing that, not only getting better at the game, but I have the opportunity to, level up. I can go fight other enemies, get their souls, go level up. And then when I go fight that same boss who's really hard, I'm a more powerful character, and I can finally beat him. I don't like these games that are like, hey, we're really hard, but guess what? We don't give you anything to get better. You can get better weapons, but when you die, you lose them. That's stupid to me. That's what bothered me about Dead Cells. I'm like, I just unlocked this really cool weapon. I then died, and I'm like, oh, I thought I unlocked it, and it's in some little bubble ball or whatever, and I can't even get it. And I'm like, what? What's the point? Why do I have to start over completely? So will I like Below? Probably not. And I find that disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you how I feel about those games.
It's fair.
Thanks.
All right. We are going to move on to the next category here. Thankfully, this is not one we have to rank. Oh, final rankings we picked, by the way, Ashen, Forza Horizon 4, and Sea of Thieves at number 3.
I mean, do we really need Sea of Thieves? Because not a single person wanted it.
Only leave it on there. Leave it on there.
Nobody even cares about 10.
It's staying.
It really just goes to show how weak Microsoft has been. That game is on any list.
You just triggered my boy Nate Bacon. He's full on triggered.
Yeah, maybe.
If you even listen to our show, I mean, we don't even have people that listen to our show, so it doesn't even matter.
So it shouldn't be a problem, is what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool.
Who is your daddy?
I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?